Are you aware that the Shapeshifter weapons suck and are a complete waste of your time and you shouldn't ever use them for anything? We're going to go over it in today's video. The very first weapon is the Prowler Staff, and I will admit, this weapon actually has one particular decent use compared to the rest. Out of all the Shapeshifter weapons, this one is probably the best, and there's only one place you're really going to use this thing, and it's in the mists. And the only reason why you're using this is to simply camp those little outposts, those little camps areas that you need to clear to get some favor and kill people lesser geared than you. That's all this weapon is good for. And I don't think it's personally the best weapon for doing it, but it's good enough. It's basically a mix between a Bloodletter and a Deathgiver's, except without all the mobility or the burst. It's basically a weapon with an execute that you can very much stick to an enemy really quickly. So what you do is you set in Prowler mode, in stealth mode here, like a little stealth kitty, in the outpost, and when someone approaches and you see that nameplate, you simply jump them and tear them to pieces. Now, I took too long because my little charge up bars here, whatever they're called, shift charges, went away. But you charge up to 4 or 5. And you listen closely. When you hear a player approaching, you go into stealth mode, you let them start killing mobs, and then you jump them, and then you kill them. And you're going to basically, as long as they have 20% of their life remaining, your Q spell will kill them. Just straight up, they die. They just straight up die, and they can't run from you because you're a cat and you can jump on them, and you're fast. And you also have a caster mode in case they're very slippery, and there's nothing they can do. Now, of course, the build I'm using is not what you would use for this weapon at all. It's just what I happen to have equipped at the time. But the Prowler Staff, not that great, though it is the best out of all the Shapeshifter weapons. And it does have a practical use in one specific part of the game, and that's it, which most people aren't ever going to get an 8.4 and go camp mists. I mean, I do it in yellow zones, but you won't see me do it in the black zones. It's kind of a dick move, isn't it? Anyway, on to the next weapon. The next one is the Rootbound Staff. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, this is a cool mix between healer and arcane, and that's kind of what this staff is. A lot of people don't realize this is like a half and half, like nature staff and a half arcane staff in a way. So essentially, you're not really going to use these offensive spells, though the W is pretty much, 8-second cooldown, so you kind of want to use it anyway. But what it does is it puts down a little healing seed on the ground that heals for an okay amount per tick, and it's a good little AoE. You can dump a few of them, but the W shields everyone in this area with 1,000 hit points. It makes you immune to damage. It cleanses crowd controls. It's just a big old, like, if you're about to get bombed, instead of cleric cowling, you just use your barbed roots. That's all it is. It's that simple, and it's all you need is 3 of these little charges, so it's like, oh, here comes the tank, transform, and then push your W, and then everyone's safe and everyone's thankful. But here's the problem with it. And why did that show that it healed the enemy target dummies? Yeah, okay, well, never mind. That's just because they're resetting their health. So one thing is that in the tree form, when you spit on things, it makes a little poison cloud, which is pretty damn good. It's actually pretty powerful, but it's not the most powerful thing. Like, here's the thing, right? If you need to be a healer, you're better off using a holy staff or a nature staff. And if you want to be a shield person, you're better off using arcane. There's, like, yeah, it's kind of a half and half. But here's the another reason why every big raid group needs one of these. Okay, and this is the only reason. You are a static health booster-roni. You're not a healer, you're not a shield, your only role in the raid is to transform into this, and this green circle that surrounds you increases your friend's health by 10%. That's it. So, like, look over here, see this healing dummy when I get close to it? 1,100 HP, or 10, and say it's 10,000 HP, 10,000, or I'm sorry, 11,000 HP. Yeah, numbers are hard, okay? You get the idea. It's a 10% boost to your current and maximum HP, so every single group needs one of these little tree bros to just kind of walk around and chill. And maybe dump out some seeds every once in a while, which doesn't work on the healing dummies for some reason. But whatever, game's broken, that's fine. And other than that, it's pretty crappy. It's really crappy. Don't use this. Next up is the atrocious Primal Staff. This is the Bear Staff, and it is pretty damn bad. This thing tries to be a half and half hammer and a half mace, but it ends up being nothing at all good. So you transform into the bear, and essentially you can do an AoE stun, you can do a little charge, and yeah, it breaks the armor a bit, whoop-de-doo. You know, your attacks cleave and they slow, and that's really about it. You're just like even in PvE, this is a crappy tank weapon. In PvP, it's not really necessary. If you need to armor shred, use a cursed staff. If you want to slow, use hammers, and if you want to, you know, pull people towards you, use maces. There's no reason to use this staff at all. It's pretty bad. And some people are like, oh, but the bear, it makes it, you know, it's really good for the tank to stay alive. No, who cares about the tank staying alive? That's the healer's job, not your job. Don't worry about it. There's no use in solo play for this thing. There is almost no use for it in PvP. I mean, again, just bring cursed staffs. Like, there's no reason to have this over a mace or a hammer or a cursed staff. There's just not. Those weapons do everything that this does and better. In HCEs, I don't know, I don't do those because that requires, you know, having friends and crap. It's just it's a crappy weapon, don't bother. Now we got the Blood Moon Staff. This is the werewolf staff, and boy oh boy, it has the highest sustain in the game, which doesn't help anybody else but yourself. So this is a good solo weapon, but it's not the best solo weapon, and here's why, right? So you transform into the werewolf, and you get a whole bunch of extra life leech, right? You get a little pull on the ground that heals you, and you can increase your auto attack and, you know, heal yourself for the damage you deal. And it stacks with the roast pork right here for lifesteal, and it stacks if you attune the weapon, if you awaken it and give it lifesteal, and then you are basically unkillable in a 1v1. This is the only weapon in the game that you could not beat in a 1v1, and that's the only real use for it. Is if you want to be maximum spec, you know, 8.4 masterpiece and unkillable in a 1v1, this is the weapon you have to use, because you'll lifesteal way more than anyone can out DPS you. There's nothing they can do to kill you. And this weapon also lets you solo certain group dungeon bosses. But it's slower. It's slower than a Shadow Caller for group dungeons and static group dungeons. It's much slower, actually. So there's no reason to really ever use this because it's inefficient. Right? And who the hell is doing 1v1s, right? If you want to beat most 1v1s, everyone just uses Battle Axe. But, you know, if you awaken this and you fight an awakened Battle Axe and you have it perfectly statted, then you would technically beat a Battle Axe user because you have infinite sustain. But that's all it is. That's the only use this weapon has. It has no raid functionality use. It has no hardcore expedition use. It has nothing in faction warfare use. There's no point to this Blood Moon Staff other than, hey, I can mash my buttons like a keyboard, you know, a piano, and then I will self-heal, you know, more than I should. That's it. That's all this does. Now you have the Hellspawn Staff, which, oh man, it's so edgy. It's so cool. It turns you a little demon bat, and you fly around and you shoot fireballs, and it's really neat. And if you get downed, you heal back, and oh, if you spit fire enough, it puts a puddle under them, and you can put a little fireball that does a lot of damage, lets you teleport, and then you could do a bolt caster thing, but it's magic, but it's not as strong as bolt casters. So basically, yeah, this thing's only real purpose is speed clearing corrupted dungeons, which is funny because this little guy looks like a corrupted dungeon mob. Kinda, like a little baby version, like a weird baby that got oust, you know, that the other bats don't like. And there's no real purpose to use this in a raid, in a ZVZ, in solo dungeons. Like, you know, they're already quick as hell. This thing, it makes it's very slightly faster. I think you could maybe beat corrupted dungeons 4 to 5 seconds faster than with bear paws. That's it. You're saving a couple seconds. And this thing is also very mana hungry. You can't see it because I'm in max gear. I'm also in plate. But essentially, this thing will burn the heck through your mana. It is a mana hog, but the passive sucks. It's pretty crappy in PvP. Like, if I see a bat, it's a free kill because they're so damn squishy. They're actually squishier than cloth armor. They have less armor than cloth armor. That's kind of funny. Don't use the Hellspawn Staff. Now, the Earth Rune Staff, people are like, man, this thing's really good in ZVZ, bro. It's really good at stacking people up and clumping them together. And so what they do is they transform into the rock monster, and they push W, and it sucks everyone in that was in this kind of cone AoE, right? Except, as a rock, you can't use your boots, and you can't pre-use your boots either. You have no abilities that move you forward into the enemies. So yes, if the enemy lets you walk up to them, and then you use your ability to suck them in, I think they were dead all, like, look at this. That's how long it takes to suck everybody into your feet. And you can maybe throw a boulder at them before they move out of the way to stun them a bit. And your attacks cleave whenever you have the charges up. But this thing sucks, okay? Like, this thing is not scary at all. I fought an 8-4 Awakened, like, in a 1v1 and just kicked his ass. Like, yeah, when he's in rock form, he has, like, 40,000 health or some bullshit. But, no, he didn't have that much health. He maybe had, like, 8,000. And he still died because he doesn't deal any damage. Like, his attacks are all telegraphed and slow as hell. And, you're better off having a mace run and jump into the enemy, and then use the air suction spell, whatever it's called, to, you know, get everybody in. You can also use a Witchwork Staff to black hole everybody into one little spot. This thing's terrible. It's awful, and it's a win more weapon in ZVZs. Okay, if someone is stupid enough to be clumped up with a golem, you know, like, oh, here comes the golem. Oh no, get out of the way. And here's another thing too. Once you get sucked at the golem's feet, you just run behind the golem. It's not like he's body blocking or anything. This weapon sucks. It's really terrible. And now we have the Lightcaller Staff, which I thought was awesome at first, and then I played with it and I realized it's not that cool. It is not that great compared to other weapons that already exist. The Lightcaller Staff turns you into a big old golden bird, and you can't be crowd controlled, and you move a little quickly because you're flying, but only for that short burst of speed. And you can shoot a laser, and it marks them, which it didn't because the target dummies are bugged. And then when you auto-attack them, it blows up the you auto-attack them, and then when you use a spell, it makes a little explosion. And then you can use the W spell, which, the cool thing about it is it tracks, right? You're not casting the W spell on the ground. If I could show you against a moving target, I would. But you channel it, and they can run off screen, and then it launches an orbital nuclear attack to blow them up. And, yeah, it deals lots of damage, but it's so slow that you can, as long as you're not stunned or stuck in place, you can just walk away from that spell. There is no chance that it hits you, and as a bird, you have no way to hold people down in it, and even if you do, there's better spells that deal more damage than this. There is plenty of spells that deal more damage than this, faster, with additional effects, like Meteor, you know, Witchwork Staff. There's a whole lot of them out there that are just you're better off not ever using this. Just use something else that has more utility, because this thing, it's like a, I don't want to make a mean joke about things, but, it's like a person that needs assistance. The Lightcaller needs your assistance to make it work, okay? It's not a solo-friendly weapon. If you catch a Lightcaller out by themselves, it's a free kill. They're squishy, and you can't really hold them down, but, like, it's cool. I'll admit, it's a cool weapon. It looks neat. Like, it would be cool if players could jump up on your back and ride you around. That would be cool. You know, like a little mount, but the weapon sucks. The whole weapon line sucks. Don't ever use the Shapeshifter staffs. They are garbage. With that said, on the right side of your screen's a video you should absolutely click. Also, people are going to dislike the video because they're like, they have what's called buyer's remorse. They spent like 50 million silver on an 8-4, or they spent all this time speccing up their Shapeshifter weapon, and they're going to be like, how dare Swole Benji smack talk my favorite furry weapon. I can't stand that. And they're going to downvote the video. So I need you right now to like the video. And then on the right side of your screen, there's a video you should absolutely click. And if you don't click it, then you're going to see a really nasty car on the road. And nasty is up to your interpretation. It can be either rusted over with golden rims and a sports team you don't like, or it can be filled with trash, or be all busted up with bullet holes. I don't know, but you're going to see a really disgusting car on the road in the next 2 days if you don't click the video. I know that's a really minor reason to click a video, but if you don't click it, you're going to see it, and then you're going to remember, man, I really should have clicked that video. So you better do it.